Football is more than just a game. It's a story of talent, pressure, rivalry, heartbreak, and unforgettable moments. And today, we're diving into a story that has captured the attention of football fans around the world. From the players to the drama, the moments that changed everything, and the details you may have missed, this is the story you need to know. If you love football stories like this, subscribe to the channel, like this video, and share it with another football fan. Now, let's get into the story. Absolutely. Since the source is about flying cars and futuristic technology, I'll transform it into a football-style documentary script using football language, suspense, rivalry, rising stars, and dramatic storytelling while keeping the same future is coming feeling. Hashtag the next football revolution. Who will rule the future? Imagine a football world where the biggest stars are no longer judged only by goals, trophies, and assists. Imagine a new generation of players arriving with incredible speed, unbelievable technique, artificial intelligence, and technology that could completely transform the way football is played. It sounds like science fiction, but football is already changing. And somewhere in the academies of Europe and South America, a new generation is preparing to take over. For decades, football has belonged to legends. Pelé, Diego Maradona, Zinedine Zidane, Ronaldinho,
Cristiano Ronaldo,
and Lionel Messi. Each generation produced players who changed the game. But now, another revolution is beginning. And this time, technology could play just as important a role as talent. The question is no longer simply, who is the next superstar? The question is, what will the next generation of football actually look like? For years, football clubs have invested heavily in technology. Artificial intelligence is being used to analyze players. GPS systems track movement. Advanced cameras measure positioning. Data analysts study every touch, sprint, pass, and shot. Even young academy players are being monitored like professional athletes. The purpose is simple. Find an advantage. Because at the highest level of football, the smallest advantage can decide everything. A player who can accelerate 1 second faster could beat a defender. A goalkeeper who reacts milliseconds earlier could save a penalty. A midfielder who understands space slightly better could control an entire match. And this is where the future becomes fascinating. Because technology isn't replacing football. It is changing the limits of what footballers can achieve. Look at the world's greatest clubs.
Barcelona, Real Madrid,
Manchester City,
Liverpool, Bayern Munich,
Paris Saint-Germain. These clubs aren't simply searching for talented players. They're searching for the next generation of football machines. Players who can run longer, recover faster, think quicker, and perform under pressure. But there is another battle taking place. The battle for the next superstar. For years, football fans have asked the same question. Who will replace Messi and Ronaldo? Some names have already entered the conversation.
Kylian Mbappe,
Erling Haaland,
Vinicius Jr.,
Jude Bellingham, Lamine Yamal, and many others. But the truth is that replacing Messi or Ronaldo may be impossible. Their careers were unique. Their influence was extraordinary, and their rivalry defined an entire generation. Yet football never stops. When one generation begins to disappear, another begins to rise. That is how the game survives. That is how legends are created. And that is why every academy in the world is searching for the next phenomenon. But discovering a superstar is not easy. Thousands of young players enter football academies every year. Most will never become professionals. Some will reach professional football but never become stars. Only a tiny percentage will reach the highest level, and an even smaller number will become legends. This is why clubs are becoming increasingly aggressive in identifying talent early. Scouts watch youth tournaments. Analysts study statistics. Coaches examine personality. Medical teams analyze physical development. And artificial intelligence can process enormous amounts of information. Everything is being measured. Everything is being studied. Everything is being analyzed. Because somewhere among millions of young footballers could be the next player capable of changing the sport forever. But there is another ingredient technology can never completely replace. Character. Because football history is filled with talented players who failed to reach their potential. Talent can open the door, but mentality determines whether you stay inside. This is where the greatest players separate themselves. Think about Messi. As a teenager, he wasn't simply talented. He was obsessed with improving. Think about Ronaldo. His natural ability was enormous, but his discipline transformed him into one of football's greatest athletes. Think about Ronaldinho. His technique was extraordinary, but his creativity made him almost impossible to predict. The future generation will need those same qualities: talent, discipline, intelligence, creativity, and mentality. But the competition will become even more intense. Football is becoming faster. Defenders are becoming stronger. Tactical systems are becoming more sophisticated, and players have less time to make decisions. A young footballer today may receive the ball with two opponents already closing him down. One mistake can end an attack. One brilliant decision can create a goal. That is why modern football increasingly rewards players who can think before they receive the ball. And this could become one of the defining characteristics of the next generation. Players who don't simply react. Players who anticipate. Players who see the game several seconds before everyone else. Imagine a midfielder receiving the ball. Before the pass even arrives, he already knows where the next three options are. He turns. One touch. Two touches. A perfectly weighted pass. The defense collapses. And suddenly, goal. That is the future of football. Not necessarily more complicated, but faster, smarter, more precise. And perhaps the most exciting part is that we don't yet know who will become the face of this revolution. Maybe it will be a teenager from Argentina, maybe a wonder kid from Brazil, maybe a player from Africa who nobody has heard of yet, maybe someone developing inside an academy in Europe. Football has always produced surprises, and that is why the search never ends. Every scouting report contains a possibility. Every youth tournament could introduce the world to a future superstar. Every academy match could contain the first chapter of a legendary career. And when that player finally breaks through, the football world will ask the same question. Where did he come from? But perhaps the most important lesson is this. The next Messi doesn't need to play like Messi. The next Ronaldo doesn't need to play like Ronaldo. The next generation shouldn't be trapped by comparisons. Instead, they should create something new. A new style. A new identity. A new era. Because legends aren't remembered because they copied someone else. They are remembered because they became themselves. That is what made Messi special. That is what made Ronaldo special. That is what made Ronaldinho special. They didn't simply inherit football history. They changed it. And now, the next generation has the opportunity to do the same. The future of football is already being built. Inside academies. On training pitches. In scouting databases. Inside laboratories. And, most importantly, inside the dreams of millions of young players. Some will fail. Some will disappear. Some will become professionals. And perhaps one, just one, will become the player everyone talks about. The player who makes stadiums explode. The player who makes defenders panic. The player who makes children around the world imitate his moves. The player whose name becomes bigger than football itself. We don't know his name yet, but somewhere, he is already playing. And when the world finally discovers him, football will never be the same again. The next era isn't coming. It's already beginning. If you enjoyed this football documentary, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with another football fan. And tell us in the comments, who do you believe will become the next player to change football forever?